Hello, hello, hello. This is Misty Magdalena Grace with the new and improved version of Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, where we talk about spirituality, psychedelics, plant medicine, microdosing, and really that journey within to finding your best innate wisdom, to your best health, your best wealth through all sorts of inner child healing, trauma release, grief recovery, overcoming addictions, and working with the mind, the body, and spirit. So go ahead, leave a review, subscribe, download. We look forward to your feedback. Thanks for tuning in today. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Magdalena Grace for the special brief monologue. I'm going to keep it really short and simple because I am launching a new and exciting program on spiritual awakening for women, and specifically targeting women between the ages of 40 and 60 who are looking to transmute and alchemize their grief. Grief comes in many, many forms. I've lived it, I've experienced it on so many levels, and I see so many women who struggle with grief for decades. I believe unprocessed grief is also ancestral. A lot of it ties back to abandonment and loss wounds from our ancestors, which, if you're alive today, living on this planet, we all have that in our DNA. I personally have lost over 20 people from the years 2006 to 2022 to sudden death and very short windows of time, and tragic deaths too, like suicide, addiction-related deaths that were sudden. And then, of course, I lost all three of my parents, and two of them were in a really, really short window of time, like really, really short window of time. Add to that, I've moved across country many times. I've actually moved because I was homeless, which is a whole nother grief and abandonment experience. I've lost partnerships. I've consciously uncoupled. I've had business partnerships just poof, like explode, implode, however you want to say it. And they skip town, leaving me holding the bag. So I was abandoned, which is very, very, very grief stricken. I didn't understand that at the time, though. And really, for most of my life, even with as a baby, when my mom left me, like literally the day I was born, that's also grief. And so at all ages, forwards and back, I've lived it. I've also seen what damage it does to people, including myself, when grief is not processed properly. So how does that show up? Well, that usually shows up in dis-ease, mental health, depression, anxiety, anger issues. Not only that, but relationship issues. So you have the health side of things, and then usually financial. A lot of people who struggle with grief or abandonment wounds struggle with that not enough syndrome. So then how that manifests is they overconsume, they overdo, they overspend. So really, grief is at the core of most of our wounding as a human race. So I was actually talking to someone today who was like, I don't really think I have any grief. But when I started going through the list and then talked about the spiritual awakening on the planet, like we're letting go of the way things were and we're reinventing ourselves as a planet in this spiritual awakening, whether you call it Age of Aquarius, 5D ascension, birthing the new earth. Everybody's been talking about it. Eckhart Tolle has been talking about it since 2008. There was the movie 2012. Some people, jokingly call this like the apocalypse and times, because there's a lot of things in the world that are really quite ugly right now. That is also a symptom of collective grief. So here at Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, it's my mission, it's my dharma to be able to be real, raw, honest, and vulnerable with you. So I'm going to have many episodes, many conversations talking about how you can alchemize grief or abandonment or not enoughness or loss in any and all forms. How rich and beautiful and joy-filled and peace-filled your life can be when you alchemize grief or loss or abandonment. Here's a great quote from Pearl S. Buck. She was quoted in the book Conscious Uncoupling, and I've helped clients go through that process. But it's a very painful process to break up or to divorce, right? And inside of this This quote, I want you to just like close your eyes and listen and let this sink in. Sorrow fully accepted brings its own gifts, for there is an alchemy in sorrow. It can be transmuted into wisdom, which, if does not bring joy, it can bring happiness. That's from Pearl S. Buck. I'm going to read it one more time. Sorrow fully accepted, key word there, accepted, brings its own gifts, for there is an alchemy in sorrow. It can be transmuted into wisdom, which, if does not bring joy, it can bring happiness. And you're like thinking, especially if you're sitting with grief right now, if you've lost a loved one, or if maybe you just broke up with someone, or maybe you're moving and you're leaving your childhood home, or you're starting a new business, or you're leaving behind a career, maybe you're empty nesting, maybe your kids have left the roost, right? There's so many ways that grief can impact you. So really wanting you to sit with that and really asking yourself, where does grief, loss, abandonment, not enoughness show up in my life? And again, go through the first 2 minutes, I talked about the symptoms of that. There's not one area of our lives where grief, sadness, loss doesn't impact you and slow you down. And it can cause brokenheartedness, stagnation, fear of rejection. You know, some people are so bitter from grief that they'll never date again, or they're so bitter or just stricken by grief like I was, that I was a closet alcoholic. You know, and I'm here to say just giving up alcohol wasn't my answer. Okay, because that didn't get rid of the grief that was stuck in my body, especially in my heart. And I didn't want to die of congestive heart failure like my dad and my grandmother. I wanted to break that cycle, to get out of my head, because grief causes monkey mind, loss, abandonment, not enoughness. Again, they're all pretty much the same thing to me at this point, because I've seen it in clients. I've seen women who've been divorced and 7 years later, they're still hurting, right? Because as a collective, we don't know how to process grief properly. And I've had like the broken heart open on the floor, snot flying, like shattered, sobbing, wailing type grief experiences. And I will tell you, those are also the most liberating experiences. Here's another quote. Those who don't know how to weep with their whole heart do not know how to laugh either. Those who don't know how to weep with their whole heart do not know how to laugh either. How many of you know someone who's really stoic or really, scowling all the time, or really serious? They never laugh. They don't have any laughter. They don't have any joy. It's because they haven't processed their grief. They're scared of showing emotion because they're scared to be seen as weak. So I call myself a mind, body, spirit alchemist who has transmuted oceans of tears into joy, bliss, happiness, peace. Next week on my podcast, I'm going to have one of my spiritual teachers come and we're going to talk about inner peace, joy. It's an inside job. And I'm here to tell you that the best way to find joy, peace, happiness is to transmute the grief, loss, abandonment, and sadness. Because it doesn't go away. It doesn't just poof, disappear. And you can't say enough affirmations. I'm here to tell you, I tried that. Inspiration, constipation is what I got. So if you are someone you know is struggling with grief, and you're like, I don't even know where to begin, right? Because there's resources out there. There's the Grief Recovery Handbook, although I tell you what, that was eye-opening, but it actually pissed me off more than helped me. So if you're looking to alchemize grief, loss, abandonment, sorrow, depression, sadness, not enoughness, they're all again the same, but whatever word lands and triggers into your body and gives you a visceral reaction like, yeah, she's speaking my language, that's me, then I'd love for you to attend my free webinar next Wednesday, February 26th at 3 p.m. Pacific. You can go to magdalenagrace.com to register. I'll make sure the link is on there. And if you miss it, there will be a recording. It will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. So hit like, subscribe, comment below, email me if you have any questions about anything that I shared today. Because the main idea here is to help you live your best life, your best health, your best wealth, and trust your best wisdom. And grief has so much wisdom underneath it. So does anger. Grief and anger usually go hand in hand. I've had a lot of sacred rage come through me as I processed my grief, as I alchemized my grief. Anger came through, depression, sadness, sorrow, deep, deep sorrow. But here's the thing, you can't do this alone. So if you want free support, I'm going to go take you through a grief process. I'm going to share more of my story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to get real, raw, and vulnerable with you on that webinar. And I'm also going to share with you about my 66-day program for women. It's about awakening the goddess and activating the Kundalini Shakti within, a 66-day challenge and journey of transmuting your grief, sorrow, sadness, not enoughness, your stagnation, your stuckness, your abandonment wounding, into love, joy, peace, health, wealth, and prosperity. If you have any questions about what that program is, tune in to the webinar or go to my website, magdalenagrace.com. So my hope is that you learned something today from this really, really brief monologue. I wanted to keep it short and sweet so that you can think about this and ask yourself, where am I stopping myself short in life? Where am I holding myself back? Do I have more sadness than happiness? Do I have more sorrow than joy? Do I have more grief and anger or stuckness than I do with moving forward with my life? Because I can almost guarantee you, you have something somewhere inside of you that says, I want more out of this life. I want to be more. I want to do more. I want to have more. So if this resonates, again, hit the like button, subscribe, comment below. Hey, good to see you. It's been a while. I haven't seen you here, so I hope you're well. If you're tuning in live, you can always comment below. And if you saw value in this show today, hit the share button. Hit the share button. Sharing is caring. If you know someone, especially women who want to transmute their grief and have a spiritual awakening, because that's really, I guess that's my closing thought. Part of this journey on this awakening in the planet is awakening your spirit, inspiration. I'm not necessarily talking about religious stuff. This is more about you being fully human and fully divine, and as within, so without. So if you have grief, stagnation, stuckness, not enoughness inside of you, well, guess what? Your whole world is going to show that for you. That's why affirmations alone don't work. You've got to alchemize it physically and spiritually in order to heal. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So you're going to hear me talking a lot about this. This whole year is about the year of the snake, the Kundalini rising, shedding that which no longer serves you. So if you want to join me on that journey, feel free to go to my website, magdalenagrace.com, or find the information in the comment section below, or email me, support@microdosingforhealth.com, support@microdosingforhealth.com. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again soon. Hopefully you can join in on future episodes. Again, Magdalena Grace here, signing off for Healthy and Wealthy and Wise. Until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. The best is yet to come. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe, download, leave a 5-star rating or review, and also please refer this to a friend you know who may benefit from this inspirational message. We hope to see you again. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my Facebook community. And if you are looking to manifest your best health, your best wealth by trusting your best wisdom within, please go to my website, www.microdosingforhealth.com. Again, www.microdosingforhealth.com. To quiet your mind, get into your heart, heal your body, and manifest your best health and